I lost around 25,000 followers. I was pretty much disconnected from Judaism. Mental health, holistic nutrition. You start to lose people when you are always speaking from this highly emotional space.
It's not, fuck them, this is shit.
We never play the victim. Basic education. You guys are so ignorant. But her 3-year-old son is being indoctrinated. My main mission right now is to infuse.
Good evening.
Great
Citizens.
Down and out.
Never surrender.
He's done it.
Famous victory. We're going to come back.
Turn to glory.
That's my story. Tell me a little bit about your story and what inspired you to start being the open face of positivity and pro-Israel online.
אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי, בחברה רבה אמונתך.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. So I was pretty much disconnected from Judaism and my relationship with Israel for 15 years. I did a gap year after high school. So I spent 9 months there, had a great time. But then college happened, the real world happened, and I just got disconnected. There was no like rabbis or spiritual teachers that I really resonated with that were Jewish. So I kind of was forced to find God my own ways through plant medicines and other holistic routes. And right before October 7th, actually, I was just feeling this huge empty void inside of my soul. And I couldn't identify what it was. And one evening I was just like, I'm going to find out the root cause of why I'm feeling so shitty. It was very clear to me that I was lacking a relationship to God and my Jewish roots. So then I went to Chabad that Shabbat and felt so much love, felt so much good energy. And then I started rapping tefillin with the rabbi there. And then literally 2 or 3 weeks later, October 7th happened. And all of my life was pretty much dedicated to mental health, holistic nutrition, mindset. And I was dissociated from the Jewish aspect of it. So I wasn't really sharing any of that. And October 7th just awakened this fire inside of me where I was like, wow, I need to be a voice of truth. When the entire world seems to be against the Jewish people in the country of Israel, I need to use my platform to elevate ourselves and really bring positive energy and cultivate community so we don't feel alone during these really tumultuous times.
Interesting. So that journey started before October 7th. And then October 7th was the moment where you turned it into action.
Yeah. It was, I think a lot of Jews went through a similar type awakening after October 7th where they're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Antisemitism is real. Like this isn't
Our grandparents' story or something like that.
Exactly. And I think it forced us to really reconnect to our roots and cultivate community. And it's so unfortunate that something as tragic as October 7th needed to happen for the Jewish community to really rise up. And I feel like that's what's happened the last couple of years. It's like you and I would not be sitting down right now having this conversation if it wasn't for October 7th. So many of these relationships that I've developed in the last couple of years, I know wouldn't have happened without October 7th happening. And, God works in very mysterious ways. And it's usually the darkest moments where we find the brightest light. And I think that's personally what I found in my own journey. And also as a collective, the Jewish people were forced to really sit in this pain, sit in this darkness and transmute that pain into more purpose, into more light, into more community. And that's what we're seeing now.
So on the content front, and obviously almost 500,000 followers, with some very excitable content. When you decided to start turning your content into pro-Israel, how much did you think about the style that you're going to be working on, and how much did you think about what the reaction would be compared to how you've been communicating to an audience in the past?
Yeah, it's a good question. So at first, I remember I would go to the coffee shop that I would go to every morning in Miami Beach, and I would do like an Instagram live super early in the morning and just like share my truth. And it felt like a safer place to do it because it was longer form, and then it wasn't living on the internet for a while. Like whoever tuned into live tuned in, and I was just kind of like testing out my talking points and also getting more well versed in the situation itself. And I think what really, it started off honestly with sharing like Tefillin Gang. Like I started something called Tefillin Gang, where it's just like inspiring Jewish men all over the world to connect more spiritually and wrap tefillin every morning, right? And then I started wearing my star, super proud. And then, people start to say, Zionist, you're a Zionist pig, whatever. And I wasn't even really talking necessarily about like the conflict itself. And once I started to mention things regarding that, that's when like all of the hate ensued, the unfollowers. I think I lost around 25,000 followers in the first 3 months since talking about Israel and just being very open about being Jewish. And it was crazy to me because I had people that I really respected in my life tell me like, yo, I don't think it's a good idea for you to step into this space because you're here to bring light. You're here to help people change. It doesn't matter what religion they are, what race they are. And I'm like, listen, that's absolutely true. But I feel like this is bigger than me right now. It felt like it wasn't even me making the decision to post this video or to talk about this subject. It was literally Hashem. It was like God saying, you need to do this, because what blew me away most about the whole situation was on October 8th, you would think the world could sympathize with Israel and the Jewish people after having 1,200 people massacred in the most brutal ways possible. And we saw the world respond and rejoice. There was hundreds of thousands of people in Paris and London, all over the West, essentially celebrating this attack on 1,200 innocent civilians in Israel, over 250 hostages. And that just woke me up to the fact that this really has nothing to do with free Palestine.
No. It's a pure essence of anti-Semitism. But that's such the anti-Semitism aspect is a negative, terrible situation. Yet the way that you speak is not fuck them, this is shit, but rather having a positive flip and a positive conversation towards being Jewish and being proud to be Jewish. So what was that mindset for you of making that decision?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of focus right now, and justifiably so, on anti-Semitism, because we see the number of hate crimes happening to Jews all over the world. Like, we're 0.2% of the world's population, yet if you look at the hate crimes around the world, disproportionately they're happening to Jewish people, right? So we need to have that conversation about anti-Semitism and how to combat that in a healthy way. And I think it's also equally, if not more important, to talk about pro-Semitism. Like, how can we just, as Jews, be more connected to our light and be the best version of ourselves rather than focusing on all of the negativity that's happening? How can we actually bring more love and light to our community? And how can we shine through all of the darkness? So again, one of the things that makes the Jewish people so special is that we never play the victim. We would not be here right now if we played the victim, right? The last 3,000 years, we've been persecuted through every place in the world, through every period of time, but we're still here and we've never been this strong. And the reason for that is because we don't play the victim. Victimhood is the lowest vibration you can live your life from. So for me, there's this duality, right? And things get so polarizing. Things get so intense emotionally, because as Jews, as Zionists, as people that have such a connection to this, we're like, wow, how can these people be chanting to the river, to the sea? How can they essentially be calling for a genocide of Jewish people without even being conscious and aware of it, right? But then when you take a step back, you realize probably 70 to 80% of these people have no idea what they're actually saying.
No idea.
And I really truly believe that a majority of them, not a majority, but let's say 50 to 60% of them are just extremely misinformed. And they actually don't have malicious intentions towards Jews. But then we have to get to the facts. Like, if you genuinely care about the Palestinian people, then you would understand that Free Palestine should really just be an extension to Free Palestine from Hamas, who's been in control of Gaza since 2006, and it's like they've been suppressing their people this whole time. They're using billions.
And you see what happens when you did give them a region of Gaza back, and they start shooting people in the head in the streets.
Exactly. They're literally shooting their own people, murdering their own people in open assassinations when they're in control. And that's what I think needs to be spoken about more, is like just basic education. Because most people are so misinformed and they're swayed very easily. And I think you start to lose an argument, you start to lose people when you are always speaking from this highly emotional space. And I'm guilty of it too. Like, I get super triggered when I see some of these people and I'm like, you guys are so ignorant. Like, the gays for Gaza, for example, right? It's like
chickens for KFC.
Exactly. It's like, you see these people who are transgender, they're using all these different pronouns to identify themselves, right? They're wearing their keffiyeh and they have their Free Palestine shirt. It's like, bro, go to Gaza dressed up as that. Go to Syria, go to Lebanon, go to Iran, go to any of these radical Islamic regimes and see how you'd be treated. You maybe last 30 minutes, but most likely 30 seconds. And the hypocrisy that has happened in this whole Free Palestine movement is really just a further extension of modern day anti-Semitism. It's like, how can we find a way to place the blame on the Jewish people? And what's interesting to figure out is, like, these people that want to eliminate the Jews, it's like, who would they blame their problems on?
If they didn't have us.
That's what I'm saying. It's like so much of their energy and so much of their life is dedicated to the destruction of the Jewish people. It's like, if you actually achieved your motive,
you wouldn't have the time to worry about trying to kill us.
What now?
I don't have the time to worry about killing about other people. I'm trying to earn a living. I'm trying to make a buck, grab beers at the end of the day.
So yeah, the last thing I would say is, like, I think we live in a world where it's like, okay, I support the Palestinians or I support Israel, right? I support animals or I am a carnivore and I only eat meat. And the truth is, the world is more about this gray area in between. Like, I can have compassion for the Palestinian people who are genuinely innocent civilians who are stuck in a terrible situation, who are being ruled by a terrorist regime. Like, I genuinely have compassion for the mom who just wants a normal family, who wants to raise her kids, but her 3-year-old son is being indoctrinated by Hamas propaganda that the best thing he can become in life is a terrorist that kills Jews. I feel so bad for that mother, and I feel so bad for that child. And I also realize that Israel is doing everything it can to defend its people, and if they don't defend themselves, it will no longer exist. I always say, it's like, if Hamas dropped its weapons, the war would end instantly. If Israel dropped its weapons, they would be annihilated. It's a very simple paradigm.
It's Golda Meir's great quote.
Yeah, is that what she said?
Yeah, that's her quote.
Yeah, Hamas probably
if we
wasn't
put down
around.
our weapons tomorrow, if they put down their weapons tomorrow, there'd be no war. If we put down our weapons tomorrow, there'd be no Israel.
And that's the reality, bro. That's the reality.
Yeah. So talking about the content and the style of enthusiasm that you have, when young teenagers or college students come up to you and tell you that impacted them, what does that make you feel?
It's amazing. I think it's like I feel like very connected to my soul and my mission and my purpose right now, because I feel like, I told you, I was disconnected from my Judaism for most of my life, and I feel like I can be the person I wish I had. when I was 16, when I was 18, when I was 21, when I was 24, you know, and I think young men are genuinely very confused right now, right? It's like in the era of social media, in the era of like instant gratification and constantly comparing yourself to other people and all of these distractions, it's hard to build that relationship with yourself and actually discover who you are. So my main mission right now is to infuse health, mental health, spirituality, masculinity into the Jewish world, especially with young men, because I feel like if we can prioritize becoming the best version of ourselves, then we're going to be able to become the best version to elevate the Jewish people and the land of Israel. And honestly, man, like I never expected it with Tefillin Gang and Modeh Ani. Like it was something you could have never planned. I was like, literally one day, I think I just went on my balcony and I started saying it. And then one day I just recorded it when I was in Israel and it went somewhat viral. And then I was like, all right, every morning we're going to post a Modeh Ani video and then say a different message. And then before you know it, we're on the Tayelet in Tel Aviv and like people are coming up and they're raising their arms like, Modeh Ani lefanecha. And I'm like, wow. So it's amazing. I think it's just the beginning. And I'm really excited to see, speaking at these Hillels, speaking at AE speaking at different Jewish events and organizations, seeing the positive ripple that we can create.
That's beautiful. Mate, thank you very, very much for your time. Thank
really
you for what you do.
yeah.
And I really do believe that your impact will make a major difference in the story of us.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot.
I mean it, mate.